हेलो एवरीवन। आज हम करेंगे फर्न हिल पोएम रिटन बाय डेलन थॉमस। लेट अस स्टार्ट नाउ। Fern Hill, the poem, derives its title from the name of a farm which was the home of the poet's aunt, Annie Jones, whose death he mourned in an earlier poem after the funeral. In Fern Hill, the poet remembers the happy holidays he spent there away from Swansea, and idolizes the excitement and innocence of the childhood. He succeeds in uh, telling about the fun activity or exhilaration which he felt as a child. Language is used in a very original and eloquent way. There is repetition. Green is repeated in each stanza. Startling smiles like fire green as grass. Transferred epithets. Epithets होता है adjective such as spellbound horses walking warm out of the whining green stable. Arresting metaphors such as road to sleep. It was Adam and maiden gains its effect by compression, exaggeration, as when the hayfields were high as the house. All are meant to suggest the child's imagination. The poet is adopting the child's view of the world and life. Phrases like all the sun long, all the all the moon long show how a child measures time. The poet has been compared with poets like Vaughan and Wordsworth. This poem celebrates childhood almost in the manner of Wordsworth's Immortality Ode. But for Thomas, immortality is only that of art, not of religion or the spirit, as it is for Wordsworth. His boy doesn't come trailing clouds of glory from God, who is our home. Time is his enemy. The boy hero is the prince, the lord, famous, the shepherd, the runner, and in poem. Adam in poem, which opens with a subtle, unemphasized opposition between time and the boy hero. Time let me hail and climb, that is to say, play like a child, easy under the apple boughs, honored, prince of the apple town. The poet mimics the child's babble effectively, creating life through language. Striking phrases as once below a time, the rivers of the windfall light in the first stanza should be noticed. Once upon a time is adapted or modified. This is not merely unconventional. It emphasizes that man is subject to time. River of light is metaphorical. Light flowing as in a river. Windfall suggests that the splendor of these rivers of light is a windfall, an unexpected prize. Words like green, golden are repeated. Time, let me hail and climb is echoed in time, let me play and be. The second stanza uses words like Sabbath and holy to give a religious dimensions to boyhood experience of vacation on the farm. It reflects the adult nostalgia for and idolization of childhood. In the third stanza, fire green as grass is a odd expression, green suggesting intensity and vitality. The boy imagined or fantasized that uh, while he was sleeping at night, the farm was carried away by the owls, and when he woke up, the farm, like a wanderer, white with the dew, came back with the cock on his shoulder. Adam and maiden suggest that the boy thinks of Eve as a maiden. His world was like the Garden of Eden before the original sin was committed, or the forbidden fruit, apple, tasted notice the light abounding and the constant presence of the sun. The whining green stable is an example of transferred epithet. Horses, not stables, whining और नी वो आवाज़ करते हैं ना and are green or youthful. The fields of praise means the fields of Fern Hill for which the boy was all praise connected. The sun grew round that very day and the sun born under over and over. Lamp white days suggests bright, pure, and innocent days or time. It is not the color of the lamb, but its virtue that is meant in this curious phrasing. Riding to sleep is boyish, imagination for falling asleep or going to sleep. The farm has forever fled, as the boy has grown a man. I sing in my chains like the sea is at once the boy and the poet singing. The simile of the sea is highly imaginative. The sea is chained to the moon and the sun and signs and sings in its waves and tides. The poet is like the sea. The image is glorifying. The sun is eternal, and so the poet seems to suggest is the art of poetry. Time is slave transcends time in this way. Now, this is the last poem we are analyzing. This is reading a refusal to mourn the death by fire of a child in London. The buoyance means the buoyance of rhythm means the happiness or the flowness जो होती है ना. The buoyance of the flow of rhythm, alliteration, and rhymes in the best poem of Dylon Thomas. इस तरह की जो poem है asserts the triumph of life and art. This elegy means शोकगीत जो होता है is on the surface a refusal to mourn. पोइट बोल रहे हैं कि रोना नहीं है किसी एक बच्चा जो है उसकी डेथ हो गई है उस पर रोना नहीं है. एज विलियम एम्पसन नोटिसेस द पोइट सेज ही विल नॉट से व्हाट ही सेज बट एज C.B. Cause pointed out Thomas is determined to build his ark on the flood of life. आर्क जो है ना स्ट्रक्चर होता है. In other words, the poet insists on celebrating life after all odds. अब डेविड डैचेस हैं वो किस तरह से इस पोएम को एनालाइज कर रहे हैं वो हम देखेंगे. ओके, द पोएम इज रिचुअलिस्टिक इन नेचर, इन टोन. इट्स डोमिनेंट इमेजेस आर sacramental means related to religious ceremony, and the cunningly contrived rise and fall of cadence होता है बीट जो होता है रिदम होता है of each stanza adds to the note of formal ceremony. There are 4 stanza, the first 2 and the one line of the third, containing a single sentence which swells art to a magnificent surge of meaning, flow of meaning. Then after a pause, the final stanza makes a concluding ritual statement. And antiphonal means responsive chant answering the first 3 stanzas. The paraphrasable meaning of the poem is simple enough. The poet is saying that never until the end of the world and the final return of all things to their primal elements will be distort the meaning of the child's death by mourning. One dies but once, and through that death become reunited with the timeless unity of things. But the phrasable meaning is not, of course, the meaning of the poem, which is expanded at each point through a deliberately sacramental imagery, while at the same time the emotion is controlled and organized by the cadences means rhythms of the stanza. The first stanza and a half describe the end of the world as a return from the differentiated identity to elemental unity. The water bead and the ear of corn are symbolic primal elements to which all return at the end. But why Zion of the waterbeat and synagogue of the ear of corn? The answer is that the poet wants to shock the reader into attention to the sacramental meaning. A more everyday religious word might pass by as a conventional poetic image, but synagogue attracts our attention at once. It has no meaning other than its literal one and therefore can be used freshly in a non literal way. The concluding stanza gives the reason, the counter statement. This echoes in its own way the opening stanza, but the tone is new. It is that of liturgical proclamation. We need not wince at the suggestion that long friends means worms. Worms for Dylan Thomas were not disgusting but profoundly symbolic. Like maggots, maggots में छोटे छोटे कीड़े होते हैं. They are elements of corruption and thus of reunification of eternity. In the second stanza, Zion is used. It is the name of a small hill in Jerusalem, the sacred city of the Jews. There is a Jewish temple on the hill from which prayer is offered to God. Okay. Okay. Beads in water. Bead reminds of beads in a rosary. Synagogue is also the Jewish temple or place of worship. Now, sow my salt seeds means shed tears in the least valley of sackcloth. Sackcloth is worn by ascetics and by repentant sinners. Valley of sackcloth is a place of public mourning. I shall not murder the mankind of a going with a grave truth. The odd use of mankind for humanity is characteristic. The pun on grave is evident. Now the stations of the breath on the analogy of the biblical stations of the cross, places where crosses are fixed as a reminder of the suffering and last pain of Christ. Now riding themes, the beautiful epithet. riding जो है ना एडजेक्टिव है ना एक in the phrase suggests the river is immortality, reverse immortality as a pathetic contrast with the child's death. But the pathos is subdued. The river of life may be part of the suggestion. The question is the poet's faith in the Christian myth of the last day of judgment real, personally felt, or merely used as a convention? The last line is ambiguous. It yields conflicting meanings. First is death comes only once. This is the view of the man without faith. And second is death is followed by perpetual life. This is the religious view. मतलब एक मौत के बाद दूसरी आती रहती है, लाइफ आती रहती है ना. पोइट का क्या मानना है ये हमें भी पता नहीं है. David H. thought that this poem stated the poet's feeling of the unity of all creation and all time to serve the purpose of a specific occasion. Does the poem celebrate the unity and identity of all life or creation, or does it mourn the premature death of a child? Doubt and irony, or faith, death, or life, which is more valuable to the poet, or are they equally important? कार्ल शैपीरो जो हैं वो उनका मानना है देयर आर टू माइंड्स एट वर्क इन थॉमस डिलन थॉमस. द जॉयस, एक तो बहुत ही खुश है, नेचुरली रिलीजियस माइंड, एंड द डिस्टर्ब्ड मोस्ट पैथोलॉजिकल माइंड ऑफ द कल्चरल फिगिटिव और क्लाउन. चलो यहाँ हमारे ये फिनिश होता है. थैंक यू सो मच. प्लीज़ सब्सक्राइब माई चैनल.